Once upon the time, there was a young beautiful lady called Adan. She always had the village people talk about her. The set of women's WHs sighted under the big mango tree, pounding fufu or weaving baskets, and whisper to each other. She is very beautiful, they would say, but beauty alone does not bring a husband. The men also talked about her. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Adan walks like the daughter of a king, they said, but her father is a poor farmer. Who will marry a woman like that? Adan did not let their words bring her down. She had smooth, fair skin like her mother. Her face was as lovely as a queen's, and her big, bright eyes made her look like a goddess. She had a full body that made men stare. And her smile could brighten even the darkest day. But these days, she did not smile much. The words of the people made her heart heavy. Adan was 30 years old. All her friends were already married. Chika had married a fisherman, Amaka had found a husband in another village, and Ifeoma had moved to the city with her husband. But Adan was still in her father's house, alone. Her mother often told her, "My daughter, you will not spend your life fetching water while others raise children. The gods have a plan for you." Adan believed in God. She prayed every day. Her parents also prayed. Even the village priest had made sacrifices for her. But no suitor came. The ones who came before left quickly. The villagers said she was cursed, and soon, men stopped coming at all. One bright morning, the sun covered the village with golden light. Adan tied her wrapper tightly around her chest and balanced her clay pot on her hip. She walked the long road to the river, passing tall palm trees and green bushes. Other young women had gone before her, their happy voices filling the air. She walked slowly, thinking about her life. Maybe she would never marry. Maybe she would always live in her father's house, taking care of her aging parents. While other women had families of their own. When she reached the river, she saw a man standing by the water. He was tall and strong, with dark, shining skin. His white agbada was clean and neat, something rare in the village. As she came closer, he turned to look at her. Their eyes met. "Good morning," he said in a deep, smooth voice. Adan hesitated, then replied softly, "Good morning." "Are you from this village?" he asked. "Yes," she answered, looking down. He nodded. "I see. I have heard about this village, but I have never been here before. My name is Obina. I come from Umanachi, but I live in the city. I came to visit my uncle." Adan did not know what to say. City men rarely visited the village, and when they did, they never spoke to women like her. "What is your name?" Obina asked. "Adan," she said shyly. He smiled. A beautiful name for a beautiful woman. Adan felt her cheeks grow warm, but she quickly turned away and dipped her pot into the cool river water. She did not want to put too much hope in a stranger's words. "It was nice meeting you, Adan," he said, stepping back. "Maybe we will meet again." She watched him walk away, his agbada flowing behind him. Days passed, then weeks. Adan continued with her daily chores, but she could not stop thinking about Obina. Then one evening, her father called her into the room. "A visitor has come to see you," he said with a big smile. Adan stepped into the room and checked. There was a man sitting beside her father, was Obina. "I have come to ask for your hand in marriage," he said simply. Tears filled Adan's eyes. She looked at her parents. Her mother was already crying happy tears, and her father's face shone with pride. "The gods have answered our prayers," her father whispered. The wedding was the biggest event in the village. Everyone talked about it. Obina was rich. He owned businesses in the city. He built a big house for Adan's parents and took her to the city, where she lived like a queen. The same women who once whispered about her now spoke with admiration. "We always knew she was special," they said. It was only a matter of time. But life in the city was different from the village. Adan had to learn many new things. She now had housemaids, cars, and a big house. She no longer needed to fetch water from the river. Everything was done by machines and servants. At first, she felt lost. She missed the village, the sound of the women laughing, and the simple life she once had. But Obinna was kind to her. He took her to grand events and introduced her to important people. Slowly, she adjusted to her new life. One day, as she sat on her beautiful balcony, looking out at the bright city lights, she felt a deep happiness in her heart. She remembered the days when she cried by the river, believing she would never marry. She thought about how the villagers once mocked her, but now they envied her. She visited her parents often, bringing them gifts and making sure they had everything they needed. The villagers always gathered when she returned, eager to hear stories of her life in the city. They no longer called her cursed, instead, they called her blessed. Adan had waited patiently, she had prayed, and in the end, she was rewarded. She knew now that sometimes, the best things in life took time. As she stood by the window, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky, she smiled. The God had not forgotten her after all. Years passed, and Adan became a mother. She had 2 beautiful children who ran around the big house, laughing and playing. Her husband, Obinna, loved her deeply, and together they built a family full of love and happiness. She would sit in her garden, telling her children stories of her days in the village, of the river where she met their father, and of the prayers that were answered when she least expected it. Her children listened with wide eyes, learning the value of patience and faith. One day, as she prepared for another visit to the village, she thought about how different her life had become. She was once the girl who walked alone to the river, feeling hopeless. Now, she was a woman blessed with love, wealth, and a family of her own. As they arrived in the village, the people gathered to greet her. They sang songs of praise, celebrating her journey and how the gods had favored her. Her heart swelled with joy. Adan knew that life was full of surprises. She had once been mocked, but now she was respected. She had once been alone, but now she was surrounded by love. As the sun set behind the trees, she smiled once more, knowing that her story was proof that faith and patience could change everything. And so, Adan continued to live happily, sharing her blessings with those around her, knowing that her journey was a lesson for many who still waited for their own miracles. Please subscribe to this YouTube. Comment what do you